Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. On today's post, we're going on with more of October the 11th when we were beginning to check out the plants to bring them in and begin bringing them in. And of course, this little plant needs to come inside. All the houseplants, if I can find them all and get them in there, I invariably leave one out too late, but sometimes it doesn't go ahead and kill it. So I'm hoping to get all of them in, and if I don't, of course I'll keep checking and make sure that I didn't skip over one, and if I did, I'll bring it in as soon as I can. This beautiful little copper plant needs to come inside if I can get it in there. You know, I saw some pots yesterday on sale. I did get 3, but I also saw some and I thought I would like to have those, but I don't know if I have anything to put in them, and they need to come inside because they were ceramic. But I wish I would have got them, because this one has to come out of this pot. Oh, look, and this is another thing, this pretty pineapple lily will need to come in. But all of this that's in here, this whole pot will not come inside, so I will just take these plants out and put them in another pot, and wish I would have got those pots. Isn't that the way it always goes? This little plant, definitely I want this inside. It's been a treasure for me. I love this little plant, and it is a foxtail fern. And it was pretty scraggly most of the year, but when it got cool again, it took off and put on several new little panicles, which will of course begin to go brown and drop needles everywhere when I bring it in, but that's just the way it is. And then this beautiful begonia, it has just put on new growth, spread out all over the place, and I will have to trim that back, because I will not be able to bring all that in the house, but I'll definitely keep some of it in its root and hope that it will come back out and spread its little leaves again in the spring. So much. We'll just have to let it go and then try again next year. This beautiful fan flower, it has done the best that it's ever done for me. I know it is getting sparse now on bloom, but it's just amazing how it has stayed with me all season long. And the salvia, the annual salvias, have looked great. There's a airplane plant back there. I'll want to get this in. Even though it did poorly this year because we just didn't have enough shade for it here. But I want to try to keep it and try again next year. And these are my dracaenas, the burgundy. I don't know why all my dracaenas and a lot of my plants just lose their leaves along the stem, and this one has lost its too. I thought for a minute maybe it's putting it back out, but actually this is some babies from the airplane plant. And I just told Ruby that I lost my corn dracaena, but I didn't actually lose it. There it is. It's just been so scraggly that I forgot about it, but I'll take it in and try again. This is a copper plant that I'll want to bring inside also. It could actually use a different pot. Even though it does well in this one, I have to just keep watering it because it needs to have a place where it can stay a little moist longer. And oh my, I love this. When you see rubies, I may have it on here before I do this post, or I may do this one first. Because they're just kind of right together, and I'll just see how I get them on there. But hers was even way more prolific than this, and she had started several pots of it. Her front porch was just an array of purple and green beautiful plants. This little Schefflera plant has not done well this year either, but I'll definitely want to take it in and try again next year. If I can save it through the winter. And my aloe vera. This is the hardest thing to find a spot for it. It likes sun. I have so little sun in my house where it can get sun. So, but I'll try. I always have to try. I'd hate to lose it. It's done well for me for several years now. This is such a busy time in the garden. Another reason I didn't really have time to do a party. I should have been out here saving seeds, which I did some of. I did. So, but I'll want to save these also. It won't be long. You know, once the frost comes, everything will turn brown, and you will have no idea unless you look back at the pictures or have a better memory than I do what color which flower is. Probably won't try to bring this in. I just don't have room for something really big. But isn't it so pretty? I hate to let it go, but we'll see. Of course, this little hibiscus that I mentioned earlier, and then this is the only other hibiscus that lived for me last winter and came out and bloomed this season, and its bloom is faded, but you can tell what color it was, and it's very pretty, and I'm going to try to save it again. Definitely want to save my little plumeria and bring it inside and bring it back out again next year. And I think all the little things in this area are either perennials like the mums, or else they will come back from seed like the marigolds and the zinnias. My cousin that comes and a lot of our family get together at Rosie's for our Thanksgiving reunion dinner, and he's wanting to come. He's tried it several times and going to try it again, but I just can't explain to him that it's here today and gone tomorrow, because when he comes there may or may not be any of this beauty left. Everything may look like this poor little hydrangea bush and worse. So, but we will see. We'll find something to do if we can't look at the garden. But most of this will be gone. If it comes to frost, it'll just all turn brown and curl up and go away. But we need to be taking pictures now, because the simple reason that it will all be gone, and we'll want all of this to remember and to give us some inspiration for starting over next spring. And then also I cover my pots that have succulents that will come back with plastic, and I try to keep it where it can get air, but where it will protect it from some of the harshness of winter, so that the little plants will come back. So I'll have plastic bags all over the garden, which is not exactly beautiful, but it serves the purpose. Last year, both of these little pots were filled with this pretty kind of a green with a burgundy tint to it. And this one, the little plastic bag stayed on well, and it just picked up where it left off. Whereas this one, the bag had blown off during one of our wind and snowstorms, and it just died out, so I had to replace it. And I didn't get the little burgundy. I didn't want to take enough out of this one to make it look scraggly, so I just filled this one out with a different plant that I think I actually purchased another plant for this one. But they both look good, and I would like to be able to cover them both. Oh my goodness, when I was at Erin and Dee Dee's, she had this, and this has so little. In fact, I don't know if you're even going to be able to see any pink in there, but you may. But Dee Dee's, oh my goodness, it looked like a display for a gardening magazine. So pretty. I clipped these back and wondered if they would bloom again. I knew they would if they had time, and they did. They were in bloom when we had our party. Looking great. I was going to try to be sure and point this out to some of the people that were at the party, and I didn't even think to. I just get so wound up. But look at these pretty peppers, and they'll have seed in them, so I'll have a chance to have them here again next year. I love this little plant. Lots of times it has more white on it and a little bit of green, but its colors and the fact that it trails, it's just a beautiful plant. And it's actually a purple splash pepper. In this area under my weeping willow tree, where my most shade in the garden is right now, but there's several things here I'll want to bring in. This strawberry drop coleus, I'll have to bring some of it in. I love this little plant. This burgundy spike, I will try to save that through the winter. And of course my begonia, this beautiful, oh, I'm not thinking of the name of it right now. I think it might have been called something turtle, but it's such a pretty combination of green, and I really like it. I hope to be able to say that, you know, I lost, I think four or five last year, and I wasn't going to do it again, but I saw this when it was small, and it's already grown quite a bit, so hopefully it'll beautify up the home a little bit. But sometimes my houseplants do just the opposite. But hopefully it will live and do good for me. I will definitely want these little ursine plants. I had them out here all summer long, and they sat there and did nothing, but as soon as the weather got cooler, they took off and got this big and this beautiful for our little last garden tour, our little going away party for the garden. I'm going to miss having them. I am. I think the garden deserves to have a go-away party, but hopefully you'll watch them with me and they'll still get enjoyed, and that's what they should be. Hey, I watched that movie, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, and you know, as much as a haute couture dress needs to be seen, so does a garden. It needs to be seen, it needs to be shared with friends. And I'll definitely want to take in this little curly airplane plant. It's a new plant for me for this year, and it has done well, but you do know how bad I am with house plants, so we'll see what will happen when I take it inside. But I have to try, just have to try. Here's the back side of this beauty. Here's my dragon tree plant, and I noticed that Ruby had two of these, and I just love these little plants. But here again, you can see that mine, the stem itself is just totally bare. There's nothing there. So I don't know how to get it to go all the way up and down the plant. Hers did, so I know it can be done. I just don't seem to be able to do it. And I had two of these for several years, and when I brought them out this year, I lost the one that was in this little pot, and I put a coleus in there so it wouldn't be just an empty pot. So now I just have one. I'm pretty sure it's lonely. I'm so used to seeing two side by side. And of course it is another plant that I need to bring inside, and right over here beside it is the bougainvillea that I got to replace the one I thought was dying, but it didn't die. So, but this one is beautiful too. Now I have two beautiful bougainvilleas, and I probably will have to clip this one down to very small to be able to bring it inside, and that I won't like doing that, but to save it, I will do it. I hope some of my guests saw this at the time of the party. It's so pretty, but it's back here kind of hidden away. If they just caught a glimpse of it, I'm pretty sure they would have came and checked it out just because of that shining bright pink. And then right over here, of course, is my new for this season Purple Heart, or no, I think it's called a Wandering Jew, and I actually think they're all in the same family. This is just a one that has it's almost got that velvety feel like a lamb's ear. It's very pretty. I love it. But again, I've never tried to save it through the winter, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So again, so much of this will just be lost. It'll be gone. So that's one reason we just need to celebrate the few days that we have them so we can totally enjoy them. And I need to get out here and dig up my elephant ears. I won't get that done today. And I definitely need to get some of these. Let me go around another angle so you don't just get the sun or the effects of the sun. But yes, I've got to get some of these. Most of them are still tight and intact, so they're not going to just be dropping their seed. But there is one back there that may actually have already started dropping its seed. It's dried out, and it needs to be taken off of there so that it doesn't become a problem. And I will save these. I had several ladies that did say they would like to have one, so you know, there's plenty of seed to share. Oh, I'm getting that sad feeling, it'll all be gone feeling, and that's not good. That's a hard little thing to do, to let go of. But even at that, it's going to be wonderful to rest. The garden will love resting. I will love resting from doing the work in the garden. So, you know, it'll be all right. Once we get past the sadness, we'll be able to go on. Can you see those pretty cosmos from here? Hopefully the mums will get a chance to open and shine and be beautiful even after all the annuals are gone away, which hopefully we won't get that early freeze, but if we do, the annuals will brown up, crisp up, and need to be taken out. We'll see if I get that done, which I probably won't. My next thing to take down is the iris and the peonies. You can tell they just look horrible, and they need to be cut back so that when spring comes, they'll be ready to poke their little red heads up, because when they start out, they're a little red plant. And then, of course, they get bigger and turn green. But I hope that the iris and the peonies are cut back before the really cold sets in. The garden is changing. It will go away, and just little bits of it will be left. Look at these roses this morning. Oh, they're so pretty. I almost overlooked them showing you the mums, but which are also very beautiful. The ones that are already opened up, very pretty. But let's go a little closer on this pretty rose. I love this color. Anyway, this is definitely one of my favorite colors. Just look how this little Coloursaurus coleus has filled out and looks so gorgeous. This would be a good one to take inside and try to save. So pretty. I love this color of the coleus also, which is not always this bright pink. A lot of times it looks like, I'll show you just here in a minute, it looks in this little pot, which this is the exact same plant, but for some reason they turn a more burgundy, which is pretty too. I do like this, but somehow that bright pink, like is on this one, just really bounces off and shines a little bit brighter. This little sedum was definitely not a mistake when I purchased this. It's so pretty. I love it. I hope it comes back for years to come and fills out even more those pretty purple mauve blooms. And this is perennial. You can keep it outside and it will come back. I'm not sure about in the pots. They don't have quite as much protection and they are less likely to live, so I should have put this into the ground, which I probably won't now, and I'll hope that it will come back in this pot. I might pull up a little piece and put it in the ground somewhere and see. But it's getting kind of late for that now as Oklahoma goes, because you know, truly one day it can be scorching hot and the next day it can frost. So we just have to be very appreciative of the time that we have with our plants. And I love this little diamond frost euphorbia. It looks like teeny tiny Christmas lights in the garden. The white just brightens everything up. But I have yet to be able to bring one of these in and bring it back out alive the next year. So I don't know if I will try this, depending on the time I have, because if I have time, I will. And I've shown you this, but let me show you again, because there's another one of the president. Clematis is trying to open up, and this is the one I showed you just recently. And then of course the black-eyed Susan vine in there with it, which is kind of trying to take over. But it looks good. And those will have to be planted from seed again if we want them back in the garden, and of course I do. Next thing, after getting some of the garden squared away and put away and brought in, is to dig the dahlias. They need to be dug. They showed off for me this little one right here and these over here. They showed off for our party and I'm proud of them. I don't know if I can take this off without my scissors, but I'm going to try just because. And it did break off. So, because if you didn't see all this ratty looking one, you would just see the beauty. Isn't that pretty? Over this way to tell you that this little dahlia never did bloom. And look. It did bloom. I think the dahlias just don't have much of a chance here in Oklahoma because they like it cooler. And they don't really start putting so much energy and effort into their flower until it is cooler, and then our cool season is usually a very short season before they have to be dug up. And I know some people don't dig up their dahlias, but for me, I just don't want to risk it because the winters may be nice enough in Oklahoma that they will live, but they may not be, and I don't want to take that risk. So I wanted to get one last picture like it is now, because it won't be that way after today. I'm beginning to bring things in, or I am going to just right now in a minute. Oh, look, if we had cooler weather, we could even have bacopa. Look at this pretty little pink bacopa. All my other ones died out, but this one has got a little bit of shade, a little bit more shade, but you can tell it's suffered too. I thought it was gone, but it's there, and it's even got some beautiful little bloom. Did I already show you? This is the little plant that Oma gave me. And it is like the Purple Heart. It is a Purple Heart, but it actually has some pink in it. And it gets more pink than this. Sometimes it's more green and sometimes it's more pink. But I love it. Thank you, Oma. Also, these are another thing. This cactus. This is a almost thornless cactus, and it just started right back up after it had its little plastic bag on it. But one year I didn't get its plastic bag on there, or I had it on and it blew off and I didn't put it back on because I thought it was late in the season and I thought the coldest weather was over, and that's when we just a little bit later had our coldest weather for the longest length of time, and it turned so bad. I did not know if it would come out of it, but it has. It looks gorgeous, and I've got to be sure and cover this soon. Not today, but soon. So again, no time like the present. I've got those off of there, and you can tell that some of them are totally dry, but most of them are still soft and not dry at all. They will dry. And either this little stink bug, excuse me ladies, but this little ladybug is just going to town on this. So evidently they're not poisonous to to stink bugs, or else they really are to die for. As you know, castor beans are totally poisonous. You'll also want to bring in anything glass, resin, or clay, because it will usually crack from the heat and then cold and back and forth of winter. Of course, some things you can just cover. I cover these little glass globes simply because I have no place to put them in the house, but I cover these, and they've made it through many winters. And I normally put my house plants in clay pots because it's good for them. It helps them drain better, and they're the ones that need to go inside, so the pot and the plant needs to go in anyway, so that just take them right in, just like that. Of course, I lost so many begonias that I just filled them up with whatever was handy, and so a lot of my pots this year have something else in them, but I will need to bring these pots in, even if I don't normally bring the plants in. I guess I could use those for those flowers like this one I was talking about earlier, to put those in to bring inside. Nothing in this little pot will come inside probably, but it was so pretty I wanted to get one more shot of it, and that big silk flower just looked like a perfect little bow flower to tie it up. And I'm so glad my little red star impatiens had their chance to shine. They were so small and scraggly all summer long. I wasn't sure they would fill out, but they have filled out beautifully. If we have a longer fall and it doesn't freeze them out, they'll even fill out more like the white ones did last year. But I'm satisfied that I got to see this display and have it there for my guests when they came to the garden party. Look what I saw today, a fall blooming iris in white, just like a little angel. And some of the things I wanted to point out to our pastor's wife was this succulent, which is called Chinese dunce cap, and it just keeps going and going and just looking so pretty, and it drops these little tiny babies off, and they'll either hang there or else they will put down their little put down a little root and start another little cluster. And why are they called Chinese dunce caps? I think this would give us a good idea. In the fall, they put this little dunce cap on. And I have not yet got on Google and found out how they proliferate with this, because mine usually just come back. They are, however, very late to break dormancy, so they just look like a little dried up dead plant for a long time, and I'm sure some people throw them away before they come out of dormancy thinking that they are dead, because I've heard that they are rare, but I don't really see right now why. I may find out why in years to come, but I've had them in the garden for several years now, and I do love them. For some reason, I'm able to grow these and not hens and chicks. I seem to just always kill my little hens and chicks, not by choice. So I have told you that I gathered in houseplants yesterday. There are still some. I need to get at least bulbs, and I need to get my spike out of the bag. But today I have actually been bringing in some of the coleus clippings to put in the windows. I took some of this little redhead, and they're usually pretty easy to find in the spring, but one year I never found any, and oh, was my garden lacking not having this little plant in it. And then right back behind here is the chocolate covered cherry coleus that I love too, and Alma said it was one of her favorites. So I'm hoping to bring that in too. I haven't quite gotten done yet because I decided to go ahead and water today because my sister is coming tomorrow, and we're going to watch her movie together with her, with our mom and two other sisters. So I'm excited. And right now, this is the job I'm headed to right now, because I washed this and blasted off some of the paint chips, because as you can see, it's just totally losing its paint. But I want to take this inside to put some of my plants that I'm taking inside on. And these are some of the coleus, but I've got several more to go before I quit for the day. It'll be dark as usual, but it's coming to an end. All this is coming to an end. So I've been feeling pretty good. I've had a little bit of chest pain even today, but it's been very minimum, so I'm trying to keep going. But I do wear out for some reason and just have to take a break, and I think I'm not going to be able to get going again, but so far I have been able to get going again, thank the Lord. House plants are brought in. One bloomed for me. And the plant lights are up. Some of the windows are full of clippings of coleus and other plants to start again next spring. A lot of work has been done, and I slept like a steel rod, and I don't mean slept good. I mean, I was so tense and tight from all the work I did that day. But the next day we went to see my family, a great deal of my family, my mother and three sisters and two great nephews, and we just had a wonderful time watching her movie together. And I slept really good last night. Look, my little Mexican sunflower bloomed again. There's another one fixing to bloom. I'm loving these little pink zinnias. They are so big. This one's an old one. It needs to come off of there, but I want to save it for seed. But I love how they're flat and larger than most of the zinnias are. This one is newly on, so it's not quite as big, but they just really show up in the garden. This coleus is looking great this morning, or actually this afternoon. But it's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. We got some more rain. Actually, I can't believe you can hardly tell it here. I thought it was a ½ inch, so I think it was a nice little rain. And it's going to help me be able to dig things up, because I still need to dig the dahlias and several bulbs. And true to form, my tomatoes are putting on, now that it's cold or cooler. It's not cold yet at all. It's just very nice. Last week I took in most, if not all, of my house plants, but I still need to put some in different pots and put some new fresh soil in them. But I also still need to, I want to bring these begonias in, even though I don't have much luck with saving them and then bringing them back out. But I just have to try. Isn't that pretty today? And then I still have lots of bulbs, or several bulbs, that I need to get out and put in. I just put them in paper bags and save them through the winter, and then put them back out in the garden next spring. And I purchased 2 pots like this one to put my my cactus, and all I'm thinking of is aloe vera, but it's a agave plant that I want to put in this. And I also purchased these 2 little pots because my copper plant is actually draining too quickly and going right through and having to be watered every 2 days or so, and I think it will be better off in a pot like this, I'm hoping. And then I just have some Wandering Jew that I want to put in a pot, so I'll purchase this other little pot for it. And I've been watering every other day now, not every day. And one of those days that I didn't water, of course, I went shopping and got those pots I just showed to you. So I've got a lot to do this coming week too. I want to put those in the pots and try to get those squared away, try to get my bulbs and rhizomes and things squared away. I still need to trim all of my iris and all of my peonies back. This one is still looking good, but it's probably the only one. Most all the others are nipped quite a bit. Most of them are nipped even more than this one I'm fixing to show you, but it's even nipped. So I need to go ahead and get those out and make it a little bit easier for the spring. But it's in the process now of putting it away for winter, and it's kind of exciting to be going to get some rest, but to tell you know, it's true that it's also sad that it's going to be going away. But we'll get through it and do it all over again. Look at this little beauty today, how it's so cool out. It's not, I keep saying cool, and it's really not cool at all, but it's not hot any longer, and it's pretty after the rain, and it's a little overcast, so the colors just pop. And this one is really popping to show me how pretty it is today. More of the mums are opened up. Look at this little patch of volunteer periwinkles from last year. They came up from seed from last year. But usually it's always good to go ahead and purchase some in the spring, because these are just now up and blooming, and it's time for them to go away. So you want to have time to enjoy them as much as possible. Yesterday I started trying to catch up on my clips that I had made to use for posts on YouTube, and then I realized I knew that my freezer needed defrosting, but once I realized how badly it had gotten, so that it had was keeping the door from closing quite all the way, and some of the things were beginning to thaw out, so I had to take time to do that away from what other things I was doing. And it was just another hectic day. But I thought, well, tomorrow I'll have to water, and I'll go to church and I'll water, and it'll be a busy day again. But God watered for me again. I can't believe it, and I'm so happy because I took a nap. And so now I'm back out here looking at things and just kind of getting a pattern of what all I still need to do this coming week. But now if I can just get the bulbs dug up and everything kind of squared away, I'll be ready to start thinking about putting up a Christmas tree. You know, I put mine up early because we have a family Thanksgiving reunion dinner at my sister Rose's house, and that's a big thing for our family. And I always want to have I make Christmas candies, and I want the tree up so that when I make the candies I can just really get in that holiday spirit and enjoy it. I even took my little burgundy spike out of this pot and put it inside, and hopefully it will live through the winter and come back out to shine somewhere in the garden again. Look, two of these little calabachoa in the colors that I love opened up for me today. How pretty. I just set this little angel or fairy back up in her place. We had a little bit of wind with our storm last night. I've noticed several things were down and have to be put back up. I would normally put away all my little fall stuff so that I don't have to be out here when it's cold. But my cousin is going to try to come when he comes down to come to the family reunion. I don't know if there will be anything left here for him to see or not, because it just doesn't last. When the cold comes, it starts going away, and when fall is here, our falls are so short we don't always have any time to enjoy them at all. But I'm trying to, because look at this. Isn't this beautiful? And it's pretty enough to be outside. You just want to stay out here. I will want to put away some of my decor. This little angel here needs to go inside. Or actually, I put her in our well house, and she usually does well there through the winter because we keep it heated. So of course it doesn't freeze. Look at this beautiful blue Victorian salvia. And I think this little tiny flowered begonia is just as cute as it can be, and looking so well now too. They're just like me. They just need a slightly cooler weather, not cold, not freezing, but just, you know, perfect. Perfect is nice. And I noticed that something came in and ate my coleus right out of these little pots. I think it might have been that little rabbit that I've seen out here and have not been able to catch. I was trying to catch it when I began to catch raccoons, but anyway, they're gone for the winter. I won't refill those now this late in the season. One of my goals will definitely be to dig up the dahlias. I'll hate to see them go. They love this cooler weather too. Look, they want to put on some more now, just like the tomatoes do. But they have to be dug up, or I do mine. Some people in Oklahoma do not, and it probably just depends on the area where you live and the planting zone that you are in. But ours is kind of iffy, like they may come back, but they also may not, and I'm just not ready to risk that. I'm going to go ahead, the plan is anyway, to go ahead and dig those up. And I also need to dig up my cannas, the ones that are in the pots here, because they may not make it in the pots, and that's another plant that for us usually does that same way, as far as it may come back, but it may not. And since I have them in pots, I definitely don't want to risk losing them. I'm going to go ahead and dig these up too. And as I say that, I again have to say that's the plan, because you know we never get everything we want to get done. But I'm certainly going to try. I'm seeing that the verbena is open again. It wasn't on the day of the party, but I'm going to go around and see what that looks like from the front. And oh my goodness, I don't know if I can get it or not, but I just saw a little hummingbird perch. Oh, it flew. I don't think I got it for you. But here's the pink and white verbena. The pretty cosmos swaying in the breeze there, and the mums are opening up more. More of the dahlias that I need to go ahead and clip off and dig up the rhizomes, and more of the pretty white cosmos. So we did get that full 1/2 inch last night, and it was wonderful. And I'm getting to enjoy my day and actually get rested somewhat. I don't feel all stiff and like a steel rod. I can't relax. I couldn't last night either. I had a hard time getting relaxed because my day was so hectic, but I got so much done. When you have a terribly hectic day, if you can feel accomplishment in it, that's all you really need to feel like it's going to be okay. And not only was it okay, it was wonderful because God watered for me and I didn't have to. And tomorrow the ground will be soft enough that it is definitely my plan to get out here and start digging. I'm going to dig at everything that I can and bring it inside, and I'll have that little job done and be ready to start on another. I haven't actually heard any more about a freeze, but we know it's going to be here before we're ready for it. So I just want to get things prepared, and after I get everything dug and taken inside, I'll come out and I'll cover some of the things with plastic that will have a hard time making it on their own, and hopefully they will last through the winter also. It's more than a week's work here. By the time I get all that done and get all the things clipped, I really don't even know if I will get all that done before the freeze comes, but I'm hoping to, and I'm going to try to. These are some of the things I will want to cover so that I can try to save this pretty Chinese dunce cap. You can tell that some of it did die out and didn't come back, but so much more of it did come back. So I'm proud that it did, and hopefully I'll be able to keep it going. Look at the beautiful red salvia plant, so pretty. This may have been what that little hummingbird was looking for. I'm sure he knows exactly where it is. He's just going to check me out and see that I wasn't going to get in his way. This is the Mexican sunflower that I left in the back, and I thought it all looked like this. I wasn't going to get to show you a pretty bloom here, but it's blooming here, so it looks great. I'm hoping for seed from this. I'm hoping that they will just drop right here in this area and come back again next year. And also in the front where I showed you, I'm hoping I will have new plants next year from these. But you know how birds love sunflower seeds, so I'm not sure if they love the Mexican sunflower seeds as well, but I have a feeling they probably will. I also actually need to go ahead and take up my hollyhocks simply because they do have that disease you can tell in the leaves. And so I'll want to get those out. I want to get it out and keep it out long enough that it gets out of the soil and I'm able to have some pretty healthy hollyhocks in the garden again. But I like to take an inventory to see what I need to do, and I've definitely seen a lot that I need to do for this next week, and I'm hoping that I will feel like it and that I will get out here and get that done. And hope that some of the garden is still looking great when my cousin comes and sees it. He's been wanting to for quite some time, but it just hasn't fallen where he can. And then I've always been afraid that he will come and there will be nothing here for him to see but just a bunch of dead stuff. So I'm hoping it will work out, and I'm going to try not to be stressed and concerned about it and just let happen what will happen. But God has been good to me and allowed things to be beautiful for my guests to see. Look at this, it's going to have some seed in it, and hopefully some of it will come back again next year too. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.